Hi everyone, welcome to Tony Fox Tarot. Thanks for joining me today and great to have you with me. Today we are looking at what this person is hiding from you. Now we'll break the reading down by having a look to see what that actually is and your experience of it. We'll look at the past, the present and the future in terms of an outcome here. Lots to get into, and before we do, if you're interested in becoming a Patreon subscriber, you can go down below into the description. There's plenty of information on how to go about doing that. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to this video. Before you, on the screen, we have two different symbols to choose from, and the idea is to choose a symbol that resonates with you really clearly. Once you've made that choice, that will be your reading. It's fine to choose more than one symbol if it comes to you really strongly. And remember, this is a general reading, so just take what resonates and leave behind anything that doesn't. Down below, there are two different timestamps to choose from. Once you've made your choice of the symbol, I will see you in a moment. Hi everyone, welcome to symbol number 1. This is your reading and we're looking at what this person is hiding from you today. So let's jump in, have a look and see what's going on up here with the moon and the 3 of Wands. Good place to start with the other person. Going to be a moody, pensive, brooding person who is consumed by their own thoughts, their own process in a way where I don't feel like they're focused on you. I feel like this has been very difficult to navigate. I don't feel like this person is giving you any kind of insight into where it is that they're at in terms of their connection between you and them. This is somebody who is definitely harboring a lot of uncertainty in terms of where this connection is going. I feel that they aren't convinced by the journey that they are on with you in a way that leaves them to think about whether this is really what they want or whether they really want to move on. I don't feel like they're telling you that. I feel, if anything, they're doing anything they can to avoid that conversation. It feels like this person's behavior is where they're kind of just avoiding contact, avoiding talking to you, avoiding intimacy. I feel like this person often has their back to you in terms of their energy, in terms of their attention. They're just not focused on you. They're not focused on the relationship in a way that is actually honoring it, to be honest about what is it they really want. I think this person is longing to be somewhere else in a way that feels very far off. I just feel that they're not present with you, but also that they're wanting to be somewhere that they're not. There's a sense here of wanting to explore the kind of beyond the boundaries of this relationship, of this experience, in a way that takes them away from something. I feel that this is a very moody person who can get very caught up in themselves in a way where it becomes overly complex. I think this person is predisposed to a very depressive state, that they can get very dark in a way that that isn't clear to them. I think they can make things very complicated within themselves in a way where maybe they just get caught up in themselves and become very backwards in going forwards in terms of their process. This is not a clear-cut, straightforward type of person. And there's a lot of emotional complexity here that feels very difficult for them to navigate, but as a consequence, it's very difficult for you to navigate as well. And they're not the type of person that wants to face things head on. I feel like this person gets very anxious, very worried about what that means. I get a very sensitive person here with the moon. I do feel that maybe this person is very sensitive to you and how it is that you may react, maybe very sensitive in terms of what the outcome is if they actually are very honest with you. The type of person to avoid conversations, avoid confronting issues, avoid facing the truth of things. I think this builds a lot of fear for this person in a way that kind of compounds the experience, and they end up longing to kind of escape the situation. And I think that can really confuse things for them in a way that leaves them to want to be somewhere else for a range of different reasons. But yeah, very much to kind of escape the pressure of the relationship. If I come over here to death and the Two of Wands looking into the past with this person, I feel that this is somebody who hasn't gotten off to a great start in this relationship. I feel like they've come from a place where they've been going through a very difficult time. That they have already been very hesitant, very trepidatious in terms of getting involved with you. And I feel an absolute preoccupation to other issues or a past life here with the Two of Wands. I just feel that when they came into this connection, that they were going through a very difficult time within themselves. And maybe circumstantially, there are a lot of difficulties. It does feel like an ending link to a new beginning here in a way that has been very, very transitory and very confronting. And I just don't feel like this person has been focused on you as a center of attention or on the relationship in a way where they've actually been giving it from the beginning. I feel like they're recovering here in a way that energetically is diffused in terms of their focus, but also I feel like a real preoccupation here in terms of being quite self-absorbed in an experience that's been very difficult for them to work out, and that actually hasn't been easy. And as a consequence, the timeline to this particular point is one where I don't think that they've ever really been able to figure that out. I feel like this is somebody who is very, very deep, very introspective, very reflective. I feel like this is a very private person who does keep a lot to themselves in a way that can be very, very difficult for them to share their experience. I think their predisposition is to just sit on things and think about them in a way where they are inarticulate of what that process really means. I definitely get somebody right back here in the past who is almost longing at that point as well, maybe to kind of be somewhere else, to be doing something else. It's contemplative, whereas now here with the Three of Wands, I feel like that's more a sort of situation that they're wanting to action, that they're actually wanting to move on. But I don't feel like they've been convinced about this relationship, and I don't know that this person has shared that with you in any way, shape, or form. I think that they've been going through a very difficult time accumulatively. They've kept that to themselves, but they have not been convinced about this relationship in a way that is committed and on board. I feel this is a person that definitely looks at the meaning of life, maybe takes things very, very seriously, can get very caught up in themselves in a way that is backwards and going forwards. This is not an easygoing person. I think things can blow out of proportion here in a way where it becomes very high stakes for them in terms of feeling that it has to be all or nothing. I don't feel like there's anything in between here with Death and the Moon. You know, these are really serious cards, and I just feel that there are a lot of positives in this as well. You know, I do feel that this is somebody who has seen hardship, who has seen difficult times, who knows how to navigate uncertainty on one level. I think this creates a lot of wisdom, a lot of life experience. I think that this person really goes there philosophically. I think they're very spiritually aligned in a way where they place high value and importance on doing things properly. I think integrity is really important to this person. And that's all great. But at the same time, I feel I also want to say that I don't know how that applies to this relationship, because I don't see a person who has been convinced that this is what it is that they really want, or that is actioning it in a way that is fully committed to you. I'm going to come down here to the World and the Ten of Wands. I feel like with yourself here in the past that you hit the ground running with this relationship in a way where you've given it 100% from the beginning. I think that you really knew what you wanted with this person in a way that you've just kind of pushed ahead and made it happen one way or the other. I think maybe you've seen what this person has needed in terms of support, and here with the Ten of Wands, I kind of feel like you've just given it 100%, and you've not looked at anything to do with them or to what it is that you've actually shared together in a way that is an obstacle. I think that you see that everything is surmountable here with the World. I think you have a very positive take on life in a way that is can do, and that you just kind of barrel forward in a way that is all guns blazing to make a success of what it is that you make your mind up to do. I feel here that you have put a lot of work into this relationship, and I think that you've actually really enjoyed being there for this person and trying to make something of it, because I think that you see the success that you can actually make in terms of having a really amazing world together with this person. Definitely not holding back there in a way where I think that you're a very all or nothing person. I think, again, you've made up your mind, you've felt that this is the right thing to do, you've given it 100%, and I think that you have seen that maybe this person needs support, but that you've had the energy to do that. I mean, this Ten of Wands here in the world, I feel like you've got an enormous amount of energy and tenacity and resilience here in a way where you're emboldened to just go where maybe a lot of people wouldn't have gone, and I think that you've been on board 100% here in a way that you've kind of taken it on your own shoulders in some ways. You've carried this person through, you've carried the relationship through. I think you've been utterly convinced as to what's possible here in a way where you've carried it single-handedly. And I think that's because you've actually been really convinced that this can work. And I think that that's very reflective of your personality and character and energy. Very up, very positive, very, again, all or nothing. If I come over here to the Sun and the Five of Wands, and I feel in the here and now that you're seeing constant challenges in reflection to the current situation with this person. I feel there are daily setbacks or obstacles that I think that you're constantly trying to surmount in a way where you know that this is not easy. I think that you're often having to fight this person in a way that gets them to see the positives in what lays ahead, or what it is that you're actually trying to manage. And I don't know that this person pushes back, but you can see here with the Sun and the Moon, or the World and Death, there's a real polarity in terms of tension between the two of you. I think that you come from things at a very sort of opposite end, or kind of juxtaposed angle. I think that it's very much light versus dark here with the Moon and the Sun, and I just think that you're always putting a positive spin on things, and that when this person turns their back or closes off and goes within themselves, I think that you're sort of fighting against that in a way where you won't take no for an answer, and you won't you won't let this person kind of beat you down in many ways. I think maybe there are arguments going on here with the Five of Wands. I kind of feel like there is a lot of tussling going on. But I think you really believe in this person. I think you really believe in this relationship, and you believe what is possible here with the Sun in a way that you enjoy who it is that they are. Maybe you even enjoy the challenge of this relationship. I do think that there are arguments going on here, though. I felt maybe that's to do with friends of yours. On the one hand, I kind of felt like maybe other people are fighting your corner or fighting for you to actually have a better experience. I don't know if that's for everybody, but I kind of feel like for some of you, you could take that. I just get a sense that maybe they've seen how much it is that you've actually put into this relationship. They can see how the contrast of this relationship is one which is quite difficult, and that they want you to actually have a better life. I think maybe so people are looking on and wanting better for you. But I also get arguments and fighting, and I feel like you're usually winning in a way that kind of overcomes the darkness that this person represents at times in terms of their depression or their experience, or the fact that they're kind of dragging things down. There is a lot of negativity in the character of this person. I think that actually could be very difficult to deal with. It could erode things quite slowly, but then again, your positivity overrides that, and I think that you fight very hard to kind of support this relationship in a way that sees through its potential. At the same time, I just feel like although you are winning, you're never really achieving the home stretch in terms of getting things to where you really want them to be. However, you're not giving up here in a way that gives up on this person. Where is this actually going? You know, I feel over here with the Hangman and the Seven of Swords that the outcome here is one where this person will be unwilling to let go and make necessary changes to address you and the relationship in a way that meets you halfway. I don't see this person pushing through and kind of getting it over the home stretch and you know, into a win. You know, this feels to me that this person is throwing up more obstacles here in the future in a way that just doesn't cross that threshold into fulfilling the relationship in a more holistic way. I feel like this person is pulling back behind that line in a way where they just start to chase their own tail, and a part of that feels to me that they're going around in circles. But I do feel that their behavior will begin to change over time. I think I see a very suppressive nature here that is not wanting to face things, and I feel like that continues on into the future in a way where maybe things start to bubble up and come to the surface in a different way that affects their behavior. I felt here that this person would begin to act out behind your back in a way that would do things that were not honest. And I just feel here that they're looking for thrills or looking to make their life really interesting in a way that gives them a sense of just getting some kind of distraction from something else that they're actually not achieving in their life. I feel like the behavior can get quite shady here in a way where they've really lost sight of the relationship and that they're actually crossing boundaries that really put the sanctity or the integrity of the relationship at risk. I think maybe they don't want to admit that to themselves, that they're doing this in a way that could be maybe unconscious. But, you know, at the end of the day, I do feel that their actions here speak very loudly in a way where eventually they won't even be able to escape that from themselves. I feel like they will do that behind your back, that they would do that in a way where you wouldn't be able to see it. I get a lot of dishonesty going on here in a way where this person also is not facing the truth of what's going on. And I feel that this definitely points to the past in terms of where things are going. And if we come back here to Death and the Two of Wands, I don't feel like this person has wanted to be in this relationship right from the beginning. I really don't. And with the Moon and the Three of Wands, I feel that this person actively in the present is really wanting to escape and to be somewhere else and to kind of leave you behind or turn their back on this situation in a way where they see a new horizon or see a new experience, or maybe they want to be in a completely different place. You know, that could be about moving to a different area, or a different city, or another country. I feel there is a longing, a genuine pining for this person to want to end everything that they have going on in their world in a very drastic way, and that they haven't done that here in the past. And that at the moment, that is really beginning to fester in a way that is sort of a manifestation of just a depressive state, because they're not acting on what is it they really desire. And I don't feel like this person is being honest with you in a way that actually gives you a conversation to be able to interface and discuss what that actually means. This person does not want to admit this. I feel like this person doesn't want to hurt you. But I think also this person is afraid. This person is afraid to take control and to stand on their own 2 feet and to move on. And in many ways, if you come down here to Judgment and the Five of Cups, I feel like you'll force this person to make a decision. I feel like you're going to give this person an ultimatum. I feel that you will be very disappointed about the outcome in terms of what that means, because I feel like this person will, for many of you, actually treat this as an opportunity to get out of the relationship. It forces them to face facts. It forces them to face that this is really hurting you deep down. I feel that this person will fail to rise up and actually meet you at a heartfelt level to take this further. I think also it's an opportunity for you to actually accept here. I think these are really difficult cards, Judgment and the Five of Cups. I feel like this is a sort of a grieved process, a very sorrowful process, an upsetting process that really gets to the bottom of things in a way where you realize that the both of you are not aligned. You're not doing the same thing here. You're on different pages coming from different places, and that you're also very different people. No amount of hard work, no amount of energy, no amount of positivity can actually make something work unless the other person wants it. And I just don't feel that this person's heart is in this relationship in a way that actually holds the potential for you to be able to meet them and to see through this opportunity. And I think that this is a very difficult process of realizing here with Judgment and the Five of Wands that this is over. For my Patreon followers, if you'd like to hold for a moment, I will be with you in a second. For everybody else, if you want to go down below and hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. Please like and share this video where you can. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of info about who it is that I am, what it is I do, and how you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care. Hi everyone, welcome to symbol number 2. This is your reading and we're looking at what this person is hiding today. So let's jump in and have a look and see what's going on. I'm going to start up here with the Moon and the Eight of Pentacles in the current position with the other person. I get a lot of uncertainty here with this individual, trying to work through obstacles, issues. They're very focused on what's in front of them in a way where they're trying to move through a series of objectives, of challenges. I feel like this person is feeling very worried about that situation here with the Moon in a way that has kind of taken hold of them very negatively. I feel like they're looking at what's in front of them with you in a way that is very it's very task focused. I feel like this person definitely takes hold of what's going on in terms of working through issues with you very seriously and is very practical in their approach. But at the same time, I get a sense here that this person feels that it's just a relentless series of issues, obstacles that they're trying to get through, and that it's never ending. You know, they get through one certain thing and then another one pops up. It's very kind of like a game of whack-a-mole. I feel like this person feels that it's always on their shoulders. It's always on them to try and figure it out. I think that they're very practically focused. So if anything happens that feels like it's a problem within the relationship, they are straight onto it in a way where they're trying to nut it out and figure out how to sort of succumb that, how to override that, how to figure that out and move things forward in a more cohesive fashion. But I definitely get a feeling of being weighted down here, that this person is feeling quite depressed within themselves about how things are moving forward. Very uncertain and unsettled about what the future holds in terms of where things lay between the both of you. I think this person is definitely holding doubts, concerns, reservations about where the both of you are heading in terms of a direction. I feel like this person doesn't have all of the answers at this point in time. And I think that might be really difficult for them, because I think this is somebody who likes to have the answers, who likes to be on top of things in a way where they feel that they can manage themselves through a situation. They don't like not to be able to work with things in a way that takes them sort of straight to the outcomes or gives them the answers that they really want. I feel like this person is definitely withdrawing and holding back in a way where they're unable to sort of describe how it is that they're feeling. You know, maybe they're throwing themselves into their work or kind of busying themselves with other activities, becoming very practically focused in different ways that are about kind of hands-on and sort of, you know, just trying to sort of preoccupy their focus in a much more constructive way. I think this person holds quite a lot of fear here with the Moon. I think they feel quite a lot of darkness, a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety about the kind of progress that's been made in the relationship, and maybe even the lack of progress. This is somebody who is definitely worried about how things are progressing, worried about how to fix it. I don't feel like this person knows how to fix what's going on in the relationship, but they keep on trying anyway, is what I see here. A definite sense of losing confidence and like a slow deflation here in terms of this person's momentum. Again, I get a very practical person. I just get to feel like they show their love, their affection in very practical ways. They are the type of person that will do things for you, take care of things for you, bring things to you. And maybe that's also a sign of what I'm picking up here. Maybe this person's not being particularly intimate or emotionally connected, or taking the time to kind of be with you at a more personal level. It feels very practically focused at this time. If I come down here to the High Priestess and the Five of Swords, I feel like in reflection of that, sort of in the current position with yourself, I feel like there's a lot of internal conflict with you. I feel like you're really struggling and fighting within yourself about uncertainty in terms of where this is all going. I feel like you don't know how to handle this situation. I think you're beating yourself up about sort of small things, little things that trigger uncertainty, kind of flare into sort of quite explosive internal processes that kind of jump to a worst case scenario. I think I pick up a lot of fear here in terms of where this could go for you, in terms of how you feel that you're not in control of this situation. I think it's playing out on your mind in a very painful way. I think intuitively here with the High Priestess, you're picking up on this other person and you're understanding that they're losing confidence and maybe that they're not happy. I think that triggers you even more because you begin to kind of look at what's going on in a way where you feel that you can't necessarily control things. I get two people who are very withdrawn in these two lots of cards. I feel like you're recoiling from each other, backing away from each other, in an oversensitized way. I kind of almost feel like you're just both on this very difficult footing in terms of maybe not being able to read each other, maybe also misreading a lot of the signs and symbols in terms of how you're acting out with each other, with what each other is saying, what each other is doing. This is this very oversensitized dynamic that kind of feels almost like you're repelling off of each other. The communication doesn't feel clear here. I feel like you're both withdrawn when you are communicating. It's not hitting the center, it's not getting to the point, and it's not expressive of bonding with each other. I kind of feel, if anything, it's almost like you're both frightened of each other or just kind of clashing with each other in a way that doesn't bring each other together. I think you're constantly trying to figure this person out. I think not having the answers for you is actually really intense. And I think that the both of you are feeding into this uncertainty and negativity in a way where the both of you are beginning to kind of really pull back, and there's this kind of definite sense of losing control in different ways. Yeah. If I come over here to the Sun and the King of Cups, looking into the past with yourself, and like it's just such a different footing, because I feel like I feel like for yourself, you've been totally head over heels in love with this person. I think this person made you so happy, and I feel like you've shared with them some of the best times of your life. I feel like, you're saying through these two cards that this experience has been so incredibly positive in a way where I feel like you found the person that you really love. I mean, the King of Cups is just at the center of your heart here in a way where I feel like you look at this person and this is the one for you, right? It's like, I feel like for a lot of you, maybe as soon as you saw this person, you just knew that they were the one, and that they made you really happy. I would have said here with the Sun that for some of you, maybe this is somebody who you just thought this is somebody who wanted to have a child with. Not necessarily for everybody, but definitely for many of you. I think you've been there for this person in a really unconditional way, and I think that you've actually poured an enormous amount of yourself and the love that you have for this person into the relationship. I get a very sensitive, very maturely emotional person who is just very at grips with themselves in a very genuine way. I get an authentic, honest person here in a way that is really doing good things for other people. I think you have a lot of love to give, not just in this relationship, but I think that you're very articulate of your emotional capacity in a way where I think you know how to tap into other people's experiences, into the things that you love to do in a way where you give a lot of yourself. But I feel here, yeah, there's definitely love, and I feel like you've been very happy to find this person, you know? I just think, again, maybe a lot of you were thinking about kids, sharing a life that kind of, you know, evolved into having family. Yeah, I think you've given a lot of positive time and space in this relationship, and but here with the King of Cups, I also get an individual who is quite sensitive and maybe a tendency to withdraw. I think you are very articulate of your emotional self. I don't know that you're necessarily always saying that, you know. I think maybe there's a shyness here in terms of fully expressing yourself in that sense. Yeah, I think fundamentally though with these two cards, I get that you're very thankful that you found this person in a way where you know that you've been in love with them, you've been fully confident of that experience, you haven't had any self-doubt, and it feels very bonded. You know, like I think you really know what you're talking about here. You know what it is that you want, and this is the one for you. So coming back to the present, this context of the two of you bouncing off of each other in a more negative way, maybe this is very new territory, but also very frightening territory, because there's a lot at stake here in terms of feeling that perhaps maybe this person isn't in your future, or that you can't work out certain issues that are going on in a way that kind of, you know, go back to how things were. Up here with Judgment and the Two of Cups. And I feel equally this other person has been deadly serious about this relationship, that they really wanted to be committed with you in a way that evolves on every single level. I feel like they've really pinned this down in terms of the dynamic of what's going on here with the Judgment, and sort of they've said to you in no uncertain terms that this is a relationship that they want to have and they want to take it to new heights. I feel like they put a lot of serious, responsible energy into the two of you in a way that has really tried to figure out what the next steps are in terms of evolving this to maybe a committed relationship for some of you. I would not be surprised for many of you if this person has proposed, or the two of you have come to an agreement where you're committed in a way where you're kind of setting up life choices, life decisions, figuring out your future in a way that maps the both of you into actually having a very committed experience together. I feel like you're sharing responsibilities, evolving as a couple, and the connection here is really deepening in a way where things are getting really serious. But definitely for many of you, I would have said either a proposal for marriage or some kind of gesture that really seals the deal in terms of saying, you know, this is it. You know, we're going to bond and move into a future together in a way that, is just about getting serious. And I would have said also here with these two cards, definitely with Judgment, that there's maybe been an announcement to family or friends about where this is all going in terms of the fact that you're an item, a thing. If it's not been formal in that sense, I just think maybe it's just been assumed by other people that you guys or the both of you are going to just be with each other. I just feel like you're trumpeting commitment here, you know, making announcements or gestures in a way that shows that, you know, there is just no room for doubt that the two of you are really settling in for the long haul in terms of, you know, maybe signing on the dotted line and just having a life together. Where is all of this going to go in terms of an outcome? If I come up here to over here to the Hangman and the Seven of Swords, and I feel like for you in terms of the future as to where this is going on your timeline, I just there's more hesitancy here, right? More pulling back, more uncertainty in terms of feeling that you're losing trust within the relationship, losing your footing in terms of how this person really feels about you, feeling uncertain about what you're supposed to do to get things back on track. I think you're constantly looking for cracks, you know, in the connection that you have, certain signs that maybe confirm that you confirm maybe your suspicions that things aren't going according to plan. And I feel like, you know, like it's sort of compounding into this situation where you begin to really pull back in a way where your trust nosedives in the relationship, and everything becomes very uncertain, very skeptical. I think you're going to just kind of really scrutinize everything that's going on with this person, of the dynamic that you actually have together in a way that, yeah, it treats things very suspiciously. And I feel that you're not having the answers here. It's like you're going around in circles looking for more problems. Things are very negatively set in terms of your perspective, and you're not able to kind of break free of this kind of very restricted experience. You know, your hands are tied behind your back here with a hangman in a way where you're just not getting perspective. You're just kind of looking at the problems, and everything is rinse and repeat from one day to the next. I feel like you're feeling in this experience like you're kind of stuck, you know, that you can't move past this limitation within the relationship, that you don't have the answers or the confidence to be able to feel that, you know, you're reconnected like you were in the past. I feel like you're feeling that the experience is sort of slowly watering down, or that the air is deflating this dynamic in a way where things become very difficult to deal with. I think everything feels very different here, and there's a real sense of limbo, that you're kind of going on in this experience, nothing is changing, that you can't figure your way out of it, you know, like that you don't have the answers. I think that's kind of the bottom line for me, and so your trust really nosedives in a way that you're not able to make sense of what's going on. And also there is this kind of negative mindset that is locked in as well, in a way that doesn't know how to kind of come off of that track, or to come off of that off of that way of thinking. If I come up here to the Lovers and the Page of Swords, and I feel like this other person is also really worried here in the future in a way that is quite perpetual. You know, the Page of Swords, I feel like this person is constantly watching over you in a very similar way to you watching over them. This oversensitive dynamic persists into the future in a way where the two of you feel very, very browbeaten, very negatively attuned to what's going on in a way where you're not able to think your way out of this problem, right? I feel like this person is unable to make a decision, or to kind of think concisely, or to kind of make decisions to how to put this back together again, right? Here with the Page of Swords, this person is definitely losing confidence in a slightly different way to you. I feel that they don't feel that they know what to say to you. They don't know how to express themselves in a way that gets to the bottom of what's going on. And I feel that the two of you are kind of bouncing off of each other in this very kind of negative mind space, treating each other very suspiciously, and constantly picking over the things that are going wrong here. Here with the Page of Swords, it's a definite card that is, you know, like a glass half empty, and I feel like this person is constantly looking at the relationship and picking over the bits and pieces, the threads that don't seem to be making sense, or which are going wrong, and they get very stuck on these small, irritable, annoying things that are happening in the relationship, and they don't know how to get out of thinking of it like that. So I kind of feel that, but at the same time, this is a very reflective card. The Page of Swords is looking back. I think that both of you are looking back and wanting what you had back here in the past. Yeah. This person remembers back into the past the commitment they've made. They don't want to let you down. They want to find the answers. And I feel like it's the same for you. I don't feel like you're able to let go of this person. It's not about the relationship coming to an end. It's more about trying to let go of the negativity and to find each other again. I feel that this person is remembering how much it is that they love you. They don't want to let you down. They don't want to make the wrong decisions here with the Lovers, but at the same time, I don't feel this person has the confidence to be able to say what it is that they really feel deep down. I feel like this oversensitive dynamic has kind of crept up and begun to undermine the confidence of the both of you in a way where neither one of you wants to be the one that actually speaks first, to either to admit that maybe you've gone wrong, or to admit that you don't actually have the answers, or to speak up of what your actual fears are in terms of a worst case scenario. It's almost like the unsaid is the thing that is undermining you here. It feels like it's the skeleton in the closet, that it's the kind of the eerie kind of dark feeling that's in the background, but nobody really wants to go there because they don't want to put any sort of like, I guess, bad framing onto the potential of the relationship. And I feel that each of you wants to return to how things were, but you're so in your heads by about this point that you've kind of forgotten how to talk from a more heartfelt point of view. It's almost like there's a separation of the love, and your minds are in very different places. And I have to be honest with you here. I think that this is a holding pattern that the both of you need to break through. And I think that the only way that you're actually going to find that place is to be able to come back to a heartfelt place and to be honest about what the fear is here, because nobody is talking about it. The both of you have withdrawn into these very separate places, and the both of you are very worried about how things are supposed to work. Neither one of you necessarily has the answers, and that's okay. It's okay to not have the answers, because not everybody has the answers, and the only way you're going to learn is to figure this out by admitting that to each other. You know, this could be about going and getting counseling, or it could be just as simple as actually talking to each other and telling each other how it is that you really feel, but also remembering that your bearings are based on a relationship where you're really in love with each other and very committed to each other. And I don't see either one of you saying that you don't want to be with each other. It's more about admitting that you don't have the answers to figure out the problems that are in front of you. For my Patreon followers, if you'd like to hold for a moment, I will be with you in a second. For everybody else, if you want to go down below and hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. Please like and share this video where you can. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. Plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is I do, and how you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care.